Good morning. I am an early riser. Today is January 20th. It is Tuesday morning and it is 5:45 a.m. Oh my gosh, listen to my voice. You can tell I just woke up a few minutes ago. Anyway, I saw my son off to work and I am sitting here, getting my thoughts together because it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. It's the how in the world could this happen? Like, how in the world could somebody let this happen after being told, warned, after me, saying that I wanted to be left alone, and these people were just insistent upon staying in my life. So the intuitive message I'm getting is that everybody regrets not listening to me in the first place because they created a huge mess, okay? And then, of course, I'm dealing with people, the residual effects of people believing nonsensical bullshit about me. Like, I think the main one that is the most damaging is how people thought, I am an occultist, meaning I am somebody who understands hidden knowledge, okay? And that's all the occult means. It does not mean anything specifically dark or anything like that. But I am somebody who understands things like, things relating to the supernatural. So these people, a lot of people have unrealistic ideas. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people were bullying me in the first place. But when you think about it, there's a lot of Christian denominations who do acknowledge the unknown. Okay. So, but I would say Jehovah's Witnesses, which is what Bruce was, okay, was somebody who I would say Jehovah's Witnesses were not, at least at that time, flexible. And the reason why I say not at that time is because every once in a while, Jehovah's Witnesses come out with this issue of referring to things as new light, okay? Because they look at maybe understanding biblical truths as something that could happen in increments. Maybe like at one time, there was a time where Jehovah's Witnesses were talking about the end of the world in 1914, and then I talked about this in 1975, right? And then they said they received new light, meaning they come to an understanding that perhaps maybe they were wrong, or maybe there is new information being revealed to them. So I don't know if they, the congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses accept the fact that I am somebody who, relating to this DNA issue, you have to understand that these people who are come back as clones, uh, not all of us, but some of us, such as myself, have angelic DNA, which kind of changes the issue, because if my original spirit body is of a spirit, of an ethereal being, then chances are things like astral projection and things like that are going to be normal. Okay, because you have to understand this is a second body. Like it's deeper than that. Okay, so I'm not gonna. I don't want to get off the subject, but I'm saying is, some Christian denominations are open to the idea that miracles and stuff like that still happen on the earth, and some Christian denominations believe that was a thing of the past. Okay, so leave that alone. Now, what I have established is that I understand that Bruce Collins affected my life tremendously, based off of um, something that my sister, what Lisa Gordon said about me back in the 90s, which was used to infuriate a bunch of people. And it ended up me being bullied because people wanted to teach me a lesson. I talked about social responsibility in one of my videos, and I have not been uploading my videos. It's terrible because I start reflecting about how I am so tired of talking about this same situation. I am tired of talking about, for 10 consecutive years, I kept, begging, please leave me alone. I kept telling people what the consequences of this was, and then they continue to do it. Bruce Collins, I believe, was, number one, very desperate, okay, to, I guess, assimilate into this particular group that he seemed to be in dominion of. And then also, I do think that he is somebody, or was somebody, if he's dead now, somebody who was extremely desperate to survive. I don't think that, I think he was latching on to me because he wanted me to be forced in some sort of relationship with him. Okay, either way, I was a victim of human trafficking. There is no other way of putting it because I did not consent to be put on this wild goose chase with Bruce at the helm, nor did I ask for him to be a part of my life after. Oh, wait a second. Okay, good. It's still recording. I'm sorry. Nor did I ask him to be a part of my life, and especially in something, in charge of something that is so important as being able to make a living. Okay. And their logic was, well, we're, we're you don't have a 4-year degree, or we need to prove this, or, you need to be our religion. And I had already cleared up this issue, this belief that I've never been Jehovah's Witness. I never converted to Jehovah's Witness. I was always a long-term visitor. I never committed to being a Jehovah's Witness. So long story short, okay, Bruce came in and wrecked my life. Okay. I am now not working, okay, and I do not have a vehicle. He ruined my credit, okay, and he ruined my reputation with his stupid little campaign, okay, all of it, okay. So at this point, I have been getting intuitive messages that this particular network, some of these people ended up dead, and then some of these people are still around, and whatever the case is, everybody who was involved in it now regrets it, okay. They all regret it because they are seriously experiencing major consequences for their actions. Mind you, I am tired of them trying to share the wealth of, what they did. Okay, what they did is they put me in a financial bind, right? And it's their fault. Okay, it's their fault. And so what they were thinking was, oh, she could just snap her fingers and go get another job. Okay, and okay, let me tell you what happens when you tamper with employment. Okay, you number one, spread people's name out around, okay? And then now, even though I'm right, okay, and I have proven myself that yes, I am better than college students, okay? Let me tell you what that does to people. It can make people compete with you, okay? And so I don't have the ability to just get a job. In some ways, it kind of makes it more difficult, right? Because some people are very competitive and may not feel comfortable with me being the star employee or whatever. And I don't seem to be a star employee, but see, you have to understand, I am a black woman, okay, in a predominantly white community, okay? And people don't think about these things, okay? They don't think about these things when they're doing their stupid stuff. There are always consequences to employment tampering. Always, okay? So, and I if I end up getting a job, I will be grateful. But like I said, chances are, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And not only is it that, it's the fact that, I talked about never really dealing with quality employees or people who know how to do their job. Like I will call a place, right? And I'll be like, oh, may I speak to the person in charge of hiring? I swear to you, it's always this, oh, I don't know who it is. I mean, if you answer the phone and you don't know who it is, that's a problem. That's a problem, okay? That is a huge problem, okay? So, most, I deal with that. And then if I do get a call transferred, then I end up, leaving a voicemail and people do not call me back. And like I said, I don't know what it is with a lot of companies, but if you are running a company and you are supervising employees and they do not respond to their email or their phone calls within 2 days, then they're not doing their job. Okay, because if somebody calls you, it's your responsibility to return every single call. Yes, every single call. That is what you get paid for. Okay, so looking for a job is not easy. See, and Bruce had this idea of, oh, Maria's magical. Okay, Maria's magical. So therefore, she can just go get another job. Okay, and see, that is a misconception based on his limited understanding of how, things like metaphysics work. Metaphysics work in stages. Now, I first talked about how that story got started was oh gosh. Okay, so I was a single parent, right? I was a single parent, of course. My son was about 3 years old. Was he about 3 years old? Yeah, I was about 2 or 3. Okay, so anyway, I needed to, I was like understanding that I needed to be able to work, okay, a job with benefits, because I had worked jobs that were like under the table jobs. They were not really anything serious, went going anywhere. So I remember uh, I went to the Antelope Valley College and got had an opportunity to get on a what do you call it, a intern program. So I ended up working at a place called CSC, and I interned. That means that I worked there for like 2 days in the week. I think it was 2 or 3 days a week. I remember I went on Wednesdays for sure. I think it was maybe 3 days. Okay, anyway, I went in these particular days and I did not get paid. I was not getting paid for my work. I was basically training, okay? And then a girl in the department ended up wanting to transfer out of the department. And because I had been there so long, I actually applied for the job and the employer allowed me to work there. They hired me, okay? So I was very grateful about that. Okay, I stayed there for 4 consecutive years. Say, but how I got there is that I needed clarity on how I'm going to do things. I did not have, okay, my mother, she only worked when she was young, before she married my dad. So she was not somebody who could really give me any advice, okay? I didn't have anybody in my life to, be a mentor or anything like that. So everything I did, I had to do on my own. I needed clarity, and I also knew that I was around in negative people, and I started to really go into myself. So I started using meditation techniques, and I started working through my problems, okay, which was everything from I'm nervous around people. How do I deal with that? Also, how do I get motivated to to look for work, because I felt very drained and overburdened, not knowing anybody or anything, right? So I started working through these issues in steps. And yes, I use meditative techniques like, color, sense, focal points to get out of my problems, which took quite a long time. Okay. So I started interning in January of 97. And then they ended up accepting me for a position almost like a year later. Okay, so it took me a while. It was not me just snapping my fingers, oh, I need a job, and then boom, I got one. See, and I think what Lisa, when I told her that, she misunderstood me. I didn't tell her about the nights that I would stay up meditating because I was nervous for a job interview. I didn't tell her I didn't tell her everything, but in her mind, I guess she conjured up like I could just whammy whatever I wanted. You know what I mean? And no, it's not. Okay, if I could whammy and instantly, make something happen, I would have done it already. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I mean, I do focus on trying to get a job, and I can only do so much. Like I apply for jobs, I follow up on jobs. I do not get callbacks. Okay, and every once in a while, I'll get somebody who responds to me via Indeed.com, and then I'll respond to them, and then I don't hear from them or whatever. You know what I mean? Just recently, I left a message. I told you, the receptionist, dealing with them is a nightmare. Okay, so people thinking this was wrong, just like they thought that I have the ability. They honestly thought that I have the ability to see spirits. They thought that I saw my father's spirit, like I knew my father's spirit. There's a lot of misconceptions that these people have about me, okay? And they are foolish enough to act on stuff that they do not verify as true, okay? They literally acted on their ignorance, and then they brought me in on this, and I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of them thinking that they can create these financial disasters, and that's supposed to somehow trickle down on me, and I'm supposed to be the one who's stressed out about it. It's their fault, and they know it. Okay, and it's like, well, they think, well, I don't, should not be taking responsibility for any of it. Okay, and the message I'm getting right now is that they believe that because I have special abilities that I can just handle it. No, I cannot. That is a misconception. I have to, and like they say, oh, you always get what you want. Yes, I get what I want because I'm using logic. Okay, like for example, Bruce Collins, right, was interfering with my life. And so I tell these people the legal reasons why he's not supposed to be in my life. And at that point, they don't have anything to say. That's not using magic, that's using logic. I'm referencing laws. Okay? So it's these people, and yes, I mean, just because I have the ability to have telepathy. I have forms of ESP. I have, what do you call it? Telepathy. Yeah, telepathy. When you can like somehow, uh, what is the other word? Like when you, yeah, telekinesis, forms of telekinesis. Okay, psychic, that kind of stuff. Okay, as far as manifesting, that is something that takes time. Okay, and I would say it's more a matter of putting things in logical order and then making sense of it and then applying it. That's how really the supernatural works. It is not what people think like, oh, it's like bewitched. It's wrong. Okay. Whatever the case is. Okay. These people had no right to challenge what I said. They don't have any right to challenge what I say. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about, social responsibility. Social responsibility is the understanding that what you say about other people is going to have consequences and it's going to affect the person that you spoke about. Okay, and this is why I'm talking like when I talked about the confidentiality contract that Steve Murray and I signed, that was supposed to protect both of us. Why? Because when people hear about, oh, Maria got in an argument, okay, this is what the whole thing is summarizing. Maria got in some sort of confrontation at Murray Family Farms because she was being harassed over her hair. Not once, but multiple times. It was creating a hostile environment where employees were coming in. I was being ostracized in there. I was also dealing with racial harassment with Selena sitting here acting as if she was going to be bullying me and all this other nonsense, all out of the blue. Okay. So just by saying that, a lot of white people would hear this story and they would say, oh, you're playing the race card, right? And then also, on the other hand, some people might have heard that story, right? And they might have said, "Oh, Steve Murray runs a place like that. I don't want to work there, and I don't want to shop there." So those confidentiality contracts is there to protect both people, Steve Murray and me, right? Because it can damage both of our reputations just by people assuming, oh, well, this is what happened. Well, then we're going to point the finger at somebody. So in order to avoid any pink finger pointing, confidentiality contract, that meant Steve Murray was not supposed to discuss and disclose information about this, nor was I. Right? And that's exactly what I upheld the entire time. So what did Bruce do? He decided to spread this into the entire community. Right? And so the entire community was sitting here acting as if, what did they do? Exactly. Oh, she's playing the race card and then bullying me. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about, social responsibility. And most people do not understand social. And I talked about the ignorance. Okay. That's like, for example, if I was to talk about the people who live across the street from me, I don't even know who they are. Right. And I was sitting here talking about, I talk about seeing, a woman, going, and I'm making this up, okay? If I talk about a neighbor in general, okay, and I talk about certain things that they do, and I talk about it on my platform, okay? And let's just say, for example, I saw a woman getting into a car that was not her husband. She got in a car and it wasn't her husband, okay? And I say this out in public, okay? So that's going to create what? It's going to create gossip, and it's going to create people staring at her, possibly ostracizing her, bullying her. People are going, the consequence is that somebody's going to suffer for what you said. Okay. And it's going to be that person that you spoke about is going to suffer some sort of consequences based on what you said. And it's going to be that way all the time. That's why gossip is so toxic. When it comes to professional people, they should understand. I would say if you were truly a educated person, you would know what social responsibility is. That's what social responsibility is. Okay. So because these people did what they did, okay, I had, they blacklisted me. I was blacklisted. Okay. I was also shadow banned. Okay. And for no reason. For no reason. Okay. And Bruce was at the helm of this, as if he was controlling the whole thing. And see, they think, and he had no right to, because he was assuming that I was a Jehovah's Witness. Now, I talked about social responsibility and giving you some other examples. Okay. When it comes to religion, okay, and I understand a lot of people in religions, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, no offense, okay, but Jehovah's Witnesses are not the most educated people. They're just not, okay? So, but I will say, Bruce Okay, and I don't want to associate. I don't want to consider Bruce a Jehovah's Witness. He might not have been. I don't know, because like I said, when he married Sarah, I don't know if Sarah's a Jehovah's Witness. I don't want to know. I don't. I'm just angry that I got sucked up into all of this. Okay, but I was talking about how in religious groups, okay, they need to understand and apply and uh, appreciate why social responsibility is so important, especially within a congregation. Now, I gave the example of Stephen Lyles and his father and the Lyles the Lyles group, right? Now, all these boys had a father, and it was public knowledge in Lancaster. So I'm just going to summarize it. And the reason why I'm talking about this, right, because I think it's a good example of social responsibility. Okay, now, Mr. Lyles was a pastor, I believe, the main pastor of the Lutheran Church in Lancaster, right? And he ended up having an affair on his, and he cheated on his wife. Okay, now I don't know the dynamics of their relationship. I don't know. It may, who's to say? I mean, maybe their relationship was forced. Maybe their relationship was arranged and they didn't want it. Or maybe, I don't know. Okay. Some people get in all kinds of situations when it comes to marriage. Okay. That they end up regretting. Sometimes, they might have been intimate before they were married and she could have ended up pregnant and then they ended up getting married, and men resent women for that. They do. Okay. So whatever the case is, okay, he cheated on her. And I'm not saying it was right. I would never say that that's right, okay? But the ultimate issue is that information got spread throughout the entire community, and everybody turned against him. He ended up not being able to find a job because he was an adulterer, right? And he ended up having to commit suicide, okay? So the thing is that what should have happened is that the family, the Lyles family, should have kept that private, right, to protect this should have been instructed by their Lutheran church. Their church is supposed to be their spiritual family, their spiritual go-to place, right? So the Lutheran church, even though I think he was like the head honcho Lutheran like pastor, so maybe like a lot of times churches have like their headquarters or whatever, like maybe another congregation from another congregation could have come down and counseled the family, and they should have said, okay, this is a very serious issue. Please do not discuss this information with anyone in the community. You know why? Because people in the community are going to hold it against you. And who's to say, Elsie, I think that's what's her name. Was it? Oh, yeah, Elsie. Okay, Elsie. Maybe it was her name. Okay, Elsie. I'm popping up my name. Okay, Elsie, I think it was her name. She could have very well used his affair against him, right, in social situations to where she was, she was turning people against him, right? I don't know how all that works, okay? But whatever the case is, it should have remained private. It should have remained private, right? It should have been something that was dealt with within their congregation. Number one, he would have still been alive today, okay? And I'm just saying is, no, he did commit a sin, right? But isn't Christ supposed to be the, uh, isn't he supposed to be forgiven? Especially, what I'm saying is that uh, people do things in these Christian organizations that are not Christ-like at all. Okay, and like I said, I am not in any way excusing what he did. I'm just saying is people need to know how to handle situations, right, correctly. Okay, they need to understand the value and the importance of social responsibility. And I will say that religions need to understand social responsibility. And most importantly, when it comes to businesses, they need to understand social responsibility. Okay, uh, like for example, dealing with or associating, collaborating with what Bruce Collins did, that was completely socially irresponsible. Okay, and every manager, every business owner should have known it. Okay, no excuse, no excuse. Okay, so this message I'm getting right now is that people did believe that I could just get whatever I wanted. They really believed that I had magical powers like that. No, I do not. No, I do not. Okay, and I don't believe anybody in this world did. And now, when they talk about uh, these miracles, miracle. miracles, you know. Uh, there's a lot of things that go in little components that have to be added in order to do certain things. And I'm not saying I've never experienced any miracles. I'm just saying is people have obstacles. Okay, when you try to go for things, when you try to aim for something, people are going to deal with obstacles, right? And Bruce created a huge obstacle for me. And also, even though, from what I understand, people now know that Bruce was what he was and they shouldn't have listened to him, I'm still dealing with residual effects of what he did, right? Right? Because I'm sitting here having to deal with how am I going to deal with the rent issue. I know Houston's like working on that right now, and it's pissing me off. Why is it pissing me off? Because it should have never happened in the first place. It should have never. This is all a result of what Bruce did, all of it. And somehow I'm sitting here. I'm the one who has to sit here and figure out, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm left holding the bag when it was something his responsibility. Okay, I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to have to be able to get back on my feet. How am I going to fix my credit? And it's all his fault. Okay, and everybody who was a part of this issue, they're all like, oh, well, I don't know, you could go get another job. This is what I'm saying. They do not, it's social responsibility. It's their responsibility, their fault. Okay, seriously. Just like all the late fees or the legal fees that I'm incurring because of this rent issue, it's their fault. It's their fault. Okay, and I'm the one who's supposed to sit here and figure out how to do it. The message I'm getting right now is that my freedom from Bruce has been spread everywhere, and I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad that people knew that Bruce was very mentally ill. Okay, and I would say most stalkers are mentally ill. Okay, and this is why I'm saying, Kern County has a huge human trafficking problem, and the reason why is because they accommodate stalkers. This is a fact. The message I'm getting right now is that I'm a single woman. So Bruce was trying to, use me, right? He was also trying to, dictate how the swan song man. I mean, this man really pisses me off on so many levels. He pisses me off on so many levels. This man has no business in my life whatsoever. No business. None. Okay? None. Especially seeing as how he was already married to Sarah. Okay? He was already married to Sarah. See, now the message I'm getting right now is that there are many people here in this community that do not even belong to a church and they are gainfully employed. I do understand the network got me involved in their drama and they had no right to get me involved in their drama. No right. Okay, so when Terry Collins, my issue is, okay, why would Terry Collins be in my life, right? Knowing good and well that her son was married. She should have left me alone. Should have left me alone. So now, me and my son are left with this issue, and it's bullshit. And Bruce was not even my son's legal father, even though he is Houston's biological father. I kept Bruce off the birth certificate on purpose because I did not want my son to know him. And see, all other people got involved. It was socially irresponsible for the kids of 533 to get involved. It was socially irresponsible for Lisa to sit here and retell that story, and people and it was threw it out there for public scrutiny as well as bullying. Because people thought, oh, who does she think she is if she has magic? Well, we're going to make her prove it. Okay? And I didn't even do anything wrong. You know what I mean? I'm tired of dealing with other people's problems. The message I'm getting right now is that people recognize me as a survivor of MK Ultra. These particular people who were a part of this group, they think, oh, well, Maria's going to get a good job and everything else. If I would have one by now. Okay? I would have one by now. Okay, this is bullshit. It's bullshit. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is dealing with the unprofessional people trying to call back on job. What do you call it? Okay, people do. I'm shocked at the poor job that people do. Like, it shocks me that people do not know who they're supposed to transfer phone calls to. It shocks me that people do not respond to their voicemails, their emails, whatever. Okay. And so, I would have been so much better off had people never got involved in my life, period. Okay? Because they've done absolutely nothing for my life whatsoever. Nothing. They didn't do anything for me. Okay? All they have done is put me behind, okay, If you're not somebody who is able to manage or compensate people for damages that you do, okay, do not ever touch anything that doesn't belong to you. Okay, my career belongs to me. That means my skills, my experiences, education, whatever. All of that is mine. Okay, all of it. Okay, Bruce had no right to touch any of it at all, to dictate it, to make any statements about it, to try to direct it in any way. And this is what I'm saying. It's like, that's mine. And he came, and I feel very violated. I feel extremely violated. I'm violated, and I feel disturbed that something like this could even happen. You know? So anyway, I get on here and I talk about this issue because what these people did, they caused a lot of psychological harm, a lot of financial harm, and not just to me, but to my son. Okay? And I'm very disappointed in their behavior. And I know that they were also interested in my father's apparition, but like I said, they should have just told me. They should have just told me that this was what was going on, and I would have told them, because I was being exploited. It's basically like, well, you know, everything revolves around the filming, I guess, of my father's apparition, and I'm supposed to just sit here and deal with it and not have jobs or do things that I need to do in my life, all because of these people. You know what I mean? I am tired of dealing with it, okay? I hope Bruce is dead, okay? I hope he is dead. The reason why I hope he's dead is because I never want to have to experience this ever again, okay? Yeah, I was brought into drama that I didn't ask to be a part. I am not a Jehovah's Witness. I will never be a Jehovah's Witness. And I'm beyond upset about it. Beyond upset about it. I don't know if Sarah's married to Bruce or what, but she shouldn't be. I would never be a part of a network, right, that is comprised of ex relationships, right? His ex relationships or my ex relationships. And what I understand about this network, it's comprised of all of these people, okay? Which tells me it's a hate crime, period, okay? It's a hate crime. The message I'm getting right now is that, yes, the community agrees that the Kids of 533 and the Collins involvement was inappropriate, especially after the adoption discovery, okay? When I realized I was adopted, right, they should have left me the hell alone. Okay, because they're not who they said they were. Okay, and yet I still, at that time, I still had people in the community acting stupid on their behalf. So I'm just saying is, you know, these people have created a serious catastrophe. Okay, and I'm sitting here having to deal with what they did. Okay, and it's not even my fault. So anyway, I hope that I find a job soon. You know, and the thing is that these people assume that I'm going to get great positions. Okay. Now, what you have to understand and look at this in the context of stuff. Okay. I deal with a lot of racism. Okay. And I deal with a lot of sexism. I deal with a lot of issues. Okay. That are realistic. Okay. Realistic. Okay. And this is what they put me in the middle of. This is what they put me in the middle of. Okay. Just by highlighting me and starting this in the first place. Okay, so, you know, if you think about it, if the people are like white racist people, they know that I'm smarter than college students, and there's a lot of white racist people who hate me for it. Thank you for highlighting me in a community like this. Okay, I'm, you know, so I'm hoping I can get a job. I do not expect to get a high level position job. Okay, so what I'm telling you is that these people cause nothing but problems. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that, yes, I can get interviews for this Swan Song Manifesto. See, this is what pisses me off. Bruce wanted to have control over my Swan Song Manifesto, and he was actually thinking that he can direct my work. That pisses me off. You know what I mean? And it was because of the religious issue. And like I said, you know, whether Bruce should have never involved himself. He was completely uninvited. And it was completely unwarranted. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is, yes, people do now understand why. The adoption issue makes all the difference in the world. Okay? That means that Lisa's fake, Rashawn's fake, tiniest fake, and it reveals their true motivation. These people are nothing but abusers. Okay, and Bruce Collins is an abuser. They were purposely exploiting a person who was vulnerable. This is what I talk about. People who are vulnerable. Adopted people, especially people like me, we are vulnerable. Why? We do not have support systems. We do not have anyone. Okay, we only have ourselves. So Bruce was sitting here using that information, the very fact that I didn't have anyone, to even press the issue even further. Well, then I'm going to possess you, and I'm going to take advantage of you, and this is exactly what he did. Human trafficking is serious. Okay, and this is what I was saying. I was educating the community, and they did it anyway. So yeah, you can best believe I feel very scared. I'm very uncomfortable in this community. The message I'm getting right now is that my freedom from Bruce has been spread everywhere. Good. I don't know who spread it, but I'm glad. And I'm hoping to see that there's going to be some sort of improvement in things like law enforcement and lawyers in general. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that the community will be better after all of this. And then people will start recognizing human trafficking for what it is. Human trafficking needs to stop. It needs to stop. Okay, I don't care what if you're religious, right? If you're from a religion, if you're a pastor or whatever, and you do this to your members of your church, you need to let them understand. You need to talk to people in your congregations about protecting your members and not letting this happen. Okay, people should not be doing this sort of stuff. It's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare, and I'm still psychologically rattled by it. It's the fact that somebody could allow that to happen, or the fact that somebody thought it was okay. Okay, I am terrified of Bruce Collins. Okay, somebody who would do all of that. Like I said, most stalkers are mentally ill. They're mentally ill. Okay, this is why they do it in a covert manner. They know good and well that if they were doing this outright in front of my face, if Bruce said, I'm going to take advantage of your Swan Song manifesto, and then I'm going to also be in charge of your career, I would have told him, hell no. And he knows it. So this is why they do it behind the scenes. It's not acceptable. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I am going to upload this one, seeing as how I feel as though it's short enough, and well as, yeah, it's concise. So I think I will upload this one right now. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video, and I hope you guys have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.